What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Manbitesfilm, episode
102.
102!
Wow, now William's doing it too.
Yeah.
Cento y dos.
What was that? Say that again.
Cento y dos?
Cento?
Ciento. Ciento.
Oh, ciento. Sorry.
Lo siento.
Ciento
The
dos.
I.
Yo lo siento
Italian,
también.
there's no
Yes.
I. Yeah.
Yo lo siento.
Italian,
Bien
no
profundo.
I in cento, so like it's cento, but like I forget in Spanish, it's ciento y dos. I was close.
Uh-huh.
You're very close. I'll give you that. As always, I'm your host, Branden. Joining me is the Italian heartthrob,
Okay.
William.
Well, I mean, after just in quarantine, it's more like the Italian heart attack. But yeah, I know. Days of my heartthrob.
He's more like the sad clown.
My man
Speaking
over
of sad
here.
clowns, it's a good segue introducing Lewis.
There you go. Sad clown, Lewis.
Hey guys.
As always, if you were joining us for the first or the 102nd time, we're a weekly movie podcast where we talk about movie news. Sometimes we have the movie bucket list. We have Spiel Binge. We review one movie altogether, and then at the end of the show, we do our 3 individual reviews. So, William, what is the movie this week, buddy?
The movie this week. Let's see here. It's a movie that was released in, I believe, please tell me I didn't change the page. I did not. It was released in 1973.
Okay. Let's go. I'm a really shitty host. I totally forgot. Also, this week, we have a very special guest. Sorry, before we continue into this segment. Our main review, we have a special guest joining us, Greg Srisavasdi. He's going to be reviewing with us the Bonfire, the Vanities. So not to be an asshole. I'm sorry, Greg. I'm sorry. Continue, William.
Wow.
It's 102 episodes in.
We're still working out the kinks. We apologize.
You know what's funny? And I when we were starting the episode, I even opened up a tab with Greg's name because Greg has a very interesting last name. So I wanted to read it so that I would not mispronounce it. And then it totally just slipped my mind. So sorry, Greg, but you're here, bud. You're here.
In our hearts.
In our hearts, always. Go on, William.
Also, if you guys are actually joining us and you actually want to have more of Greg and myself, not these 2 idiots, but 2 other idiots, check us out on Movie Mainline. It's a new podcast that we're actually starting up, so check us out there.
Okay. Go on now. I think you're good this time. I promise.
I'm going to wait about 30 seconds just in case.
No, please don't. Don't do this to me.
It's going to be 30 seconds of awkward silence. If you want to let it out now. But otherwise, forever hold your peace.
Say it, fat boy.
1973. It stars Jim Kelly, John Saxon. It is an incredible, very well done martial arts movie.
Enter the Dragon.
Huh?
Enter the Dragon?
Yes. I couldn't say Bruce Lee or I was gonna give it away.
You know what's funny? I've never seen this movie, and I know
What?
Before you get it. Yes, I know. So I gotta come clean. I have my knowledge of martial arts movies is like bar none. It's just garbage. And I want to get into them. I just don't know. And I know this is a good one to start.
This is definitely a good one to start.
This and Drunken Master, the one with Jackie Chan.
Another one.
So
Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter.
What? Get the fuck out of here.
Wait. Dude,
Kung
some
Fu,
of the Jackie
series?
Chan...
Oh,
Some of the
man.
Jackie Chan movies from like the 80s, like in the Chinese movies, are lit.
Dude,
They're
Time
really good.
Cop.
Also,
Yes.
for the series. Sorry.
And by the way, is Enter the Dragon the one where Bruce Lee has the yellow like getup? with the fucking, what is that that weapon called?
Yeah,
it's the nunchucks.
The nunchucks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, real random. Have you ever seen? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think I pissed William off. He's like, "This son of a bitch."
I should have waited the fucking 30 seconds.
No. It just came to mind. Have you guys come across this on Facebook or any form of social media? The little Asian kid that literally does that scene
that like mimics him off the television, and he's like maybe a year and a half, 2 years old.
Dude, it is insanely cool. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, go on YouTube and look up.
Google just like young child imitating Bruce Lee, and you'll find them. And or baby imitating Bruce Lee. It's really well done.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, William. Go on. Enter the Dragon.
Take 4. This is the movie where he actually passed away a month prior to the release of the movie. So this was effectively Bruce Lee's last movie. By this time, he had already kicked Chuck Norris's ass, because he is the only person who ever kicked Chuck Norris's ass, although it wasn't in this movie. It was in a previous movie, but Chuck Norris has been beaten. It like I said, it's a classic martial art movie. It kind of, I mean, Bruce Lee was already a household name by this time because of his martial arts and because of the movies that he had been brought to the States to make these kind of movies, because up until then they really didn't know much about it, and everything was just like imitation and racism, because that's the world that they lived in at the time, unfortunately.
Actually, it was because of Bruce Lee that it actually got introduced into the market initially in China. And then from China, it became a huge thing in the ghettos here in the United States, because they would play it where off-Broadway theaters are now in New York. That actually used to be old movie theaters, and it used to be basically porn theaters and kung fu movies. That's all they used to play.
Also known as Hell's Kitchen.
Wait. So you're telling me in the same theater they would alternate?
No, right next to each other.
Okay.
Next to each other. You would walk out of like a regular theater and they'd be like a porn theater right next door.
Can you imagine going into a theater just wanting to watch a martial arts movie, and then you're like, someone just came in this chair or some shit?
No. And it's really fascinating, because it got such a basically a foothold in our society, and because of that, the studio system wanted to start producing these things, so they started bringing in these talents from China, and the biggest one was Bruce Lee, because he had technically the biggest technical know-how out of all these people that could actually translate to a Western audience. And his production company was completely independent. He produced his own films. He directed his own films. He made his own studio, which was fucking huge.
By the way, is this movie a badly dubbed, not badly dubbed, is it a dubbed Chinese movie, or is it an American movie just starring Bruce Lee?
It's an American movie starring Bruce Lee, so it's kind of like Conan the Barbarian with Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an American-made movie, and the main actor didn't speak a lot of English, so it's got very minimal script for the main actor, but it is a...
Is that why Arnold never talks in that movie, or barely talks?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
his accent was horrible back then.
Have the knowledge to speak the language.
That's hilarious. I never knew that. That's really funny.
Even in Terminator, he's especially the first one. He is very quiet because he didn't really speak the language. It's not kind of like Terminator 2 where he starts really having dialogues. But
that wasn't the case with Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee knew how to speak English, right?
Barely.
He knew how to speak English more than Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
Stateside. But definitely not be able to, have like this kind of like long conversations like we're having. It's kind of like he spoke English like I speak Spanish.
I wouldn't go that bad. I would say more like
wow.
Yo,
he grew up in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong was a British territory.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he knew English, but he had the accent. And you could tell it was a very heavy accent.
Absolutely.
But he knew the words and he knew the language. He just had a very heavy accent.
By the way, looking up Jackie Chan, did you know Jackie Chan is in Enter the Dragon?
Yes. Really?
He's Han's prison thug. He's a stuntman, and it's his first appearance in a Hollywood film.
Well, that's why he started as a stuntman. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you blame him?
Well,
no, yeah, dude. Like Jackie Chan is insane when it comes to stunts and shit. I love the
blooper reels.
I guess you could call like Rush Hour slightly like a martial arts movie because of Jackie Chan. But shut the fuck up. I love those movies.
I do too.
Okay, but they're kind of martial arts movies. Just
they're modern exploitation films. They captured both audiences, the black audience and the martial arts. Yeah. So it tackled into that stereotype of the people that watched the kung fu movies and grew up with them in the 70s and 60s and 70s. So that's why I wanted to say that comment, because it's important that these films started because of that, because they were low rent film theaters and stuff like that, and they introduced it to an American audience, which is fucking fascinating too. Bruce Lee did all his stunts, right? Just like Jackie Chan, or not really? Not all his stunts. Not when he came to the U.S. When he came to the U.S., he stopped doing a lot of them.
Oh, that's a shame. I think that's like, not to like derail, but like that's the cool thing about Jackie Chan, that he's just a savage. He just does everything.
But also, that's the studio system back then. The studio system back then was keeping him safe. Ironically,
keeping Bruce Lee safe.
Yeah, ironically. But what do you call it? No, actually, it's really fascinating. My dad, I don't know if I've mentioned this before on the show, but my dad was really into Taekwondo and later on Kung Fu, and he would actually go to matches and stuff like that. And he actually saw one of the demonstrations that Bruce Lee did.
How? Wait, what?
Yeah.
But how? Your dad would have been like 15 years old.
Yep. He was
here in Miami?
I think it wasn't in Miami. I think it was, where the fuck was it that he told me?
Had to have been in Miami. It was either, so fun fact into our family.
Yeah, that's right. It was Miami. Yeah, it was Miami.
They went from Cuba to Spain and then here, so it must have been here.
It must have been, but
I didn't know your dad was that like early in his life. That he was into,
like he started in high school, early high school.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he actually saw him do one of those demonstrations with the key push, which for anybody out there that doesn't know, Bruce Lee was actually very popular with one particular move, which was his key punch. It was basically he would separate his punch, his fist, about maybe 2 fists away from the person's chest, and punch somebody, and that will literally, the strongest person standing in a stance, it will throw them and completely blow their wind out. And he wouldn't retract the punch at all. It was literally 2 fists away, and he'll punch right ahead. And that thing was this huge popular thing where
he would actually hit the person, right?
Yeah. He would hit the person, and it would knock the wind out of them, and it would push them like, I think it was like 20 feet. In some occasions, it was fucking ridiculous. And these were black belts, 2nd, 3rd degree black belts, and they were getting pushed by this master that far. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, to go back to Enter the Dragon. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. Did you ever watch Kill Bill?
Yes.
Me? Are you talking to me?
Well, I know, Louis, you've seen it.
Yes, I've seen both Kill Bills, yes.
So, I don't know if you've ever seen it or not, like what Louis was just talking about, when the bride is actually buried alive.
Oh, the thing where she puts her fingers
trying to like break through the actual coffin.
Yep.
Yes.
That's like the 1-inch punch from Bruce Lee. That's where it came from.
Oh, so he would basically put his fingertips up to the sternum or whatever the hell he is punching, and then he would just like...
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And just literally, like, he would have his fingertips against your chest.
Yeah.
And then just punch, and you would go flying backwards. Like, it was incredible. Like, there's video... Literally, if you YouTube 1-inch, or if you Google 1-inch punch Bruce Lee, you'll get a whole slew of videos. It is impressive.
It really is.
I want to be on the receiving end of that.
Right? And then, but the other thing that's fascinating, and this actually ties in with Enter the Dragon, that's why I brought it up, was that is the reason why, quote unquote, he was assassinated by the Chinese mafia, was because of that. Because the fact that he was actually introducing secrets of Kung Fu into a Western audience, that was strictly forbidden in China.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly. I mean, this...
Allegedly he was murdered. We don't know. We'd love to know, but, you know.
I just think it's ironic that whole family gets fucking killed the same way, pretty much.
Yeah, it's really weird, right?
So, I'm sorry, but that's too much of a coincidence, in my opinion.
Well, you know, maybe if Brandon Lee hadn't passed away during The Crow, they would have never made those atrocity of sequels, but who knows?
But so what do you guys think of Enter the Dragon? Should it be on the list?
Oh, it absolutely should. It broke down walls and really introduced this kung fu style, which, like you saw, like we were just talking about. People like Jackie Chan were able to then, you know, bring their movies over to the Western audience, and it really just opened up like all these East meets West connections and movies, and introduced the world to kung fu movies, real kung fu movies. And to me, this was the gateway movie, even though there had been some previous. This was like the really big one, also because it was surrounded by the fact that Bruce Lee had passed away less than a month prior to its release. So it definitely took main stage, and after that, it just, no pun intended, hit the ground running. So I believe that it absolutely should. It would probably be 20 to 30s for me. Lewis?
Okay.
I would probably put it in the 50-60 range, because I agree that it does deserve to be on here, but I don't put it that high up on, because honestly, the actual film aspect of it was very well done. Very, very well done. And that's the only reason this is on this list, because of the influence that it did on Asian cinema into Western culture, and the fact that it was really, really well done, because it introduced Eastern style filmmaking to a Western audience in a way that it was translatable. And I think that is very hard to do, and we see that with anime and foreign films from Asia, that it is very hard to translate that style of filmmaking to a Western audience, and this does that in a very entertaining way.
Okay. Real random, before I end this segment, have you guys seen Police Story? It's a Jackie Chan
Yes.
Okay. I've never seen it, but I've always heard good things, and I've seen the really elaborate stunt that he does in the climax of the first movie with all the glass and shit like that. Have you ever seen that? Well, you've seen the movies. Like, he did that entirely, and people were like, dude, he could get electrocuted, he could fucking die. It was insane. But
you think about like the elevator scene?
No, that he like
no, not the elevator scene.
He basically goes down, like he slides down a pole that has like hanging lights on it, and he crashes through glass panes and shit like that. It's an insane stunt.
It's a long shot.
That scene.
Yeah. What was that, William?
He got severely injured in that scene.
Did he? I didn't know that.
I was watching. Hang on one second. Jackie Chan Police. Hang on. Story.
I mean, he got injured a lot of times. In that one, in the Drunken Master one.
No, but this one, I think like he almost died.
Really? Holy shit!
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of Asian cinema that we should check out. I don't know if you guys seen any of the Raid.
But kill you.
I haven't seen Raid. I've heard very good things. So my question is, I was going to ask this. I totally forgot. Is Police Story or Enter the Dragon, are those streaming on any services whatsoever? Or
Enter the Dragon was. Let me see if it...
Actually, here you go. I just Googled an article that said it's called 7 Insane Stunts That Almost Killed Jackie Chan. Number 1
is that one.
Actually, Police Story.
Yeah.
It looks like in every movie, because like obviously Police Story had like sequels.
Yes, it does.
Every Police Story movie has almost killed him one way or another. Police Story is the first film in the Police Story franchise. It revolves around the story. Blah blah blah. Okay. In order to catch up to the bad guys, Chan slid 4 stories down from a metal pole festooned with bright Christmas lights.
Yes.
And crashes on a large pane of glass as he lands. Aside from suffering second-degree burns after being electrocuted by the Christmas lights, he actually injured his back and dislocated his pelvis while performing this stunt.
So basically, moral of the story, they don't give a fuck in China, and they're like, yo, we want to do the craziest stunts.
That's pretty much how it was. Police Story is actually streaming on Criterion Collection or the Criterion Channel or Canopy. Canopy is actually a free service. If you have a library card, you could actually get it for free. Yeah.
Oh, I have a library card. Maybe I'll be checking out Police
Canopy
Story.
actually has a lot. It has pretty much everything that Criterion has, like all those classic films. Most of the Kurosawa films are on there, actually. And it's actually well worth it. Because it's free.
One last thing before I finally end this segment. I want to bring up a video because you reminded me of it because you started talking about your dad and looking at Bruce Lee and all that stuff. I don't know if you watched the video, William, the one that I sent to you about wrestling when I did your show with you. Which if you haven't, it's fine. He hasn't.
Put him on the spot.
No, I'm trying to remember. Oh no, I have not yet.
It's okay. It's okay if you really haven't. It's fine. So that same guy on YouTube, we're not sponsored by this guy. I just really like his channel. His name is Super Eye Patch Wolf. He mostly talks about video games and anime, but every once in a while he has really random videos. I sent one to William, which was professional wrestling is stupid and beautiful, and I love it, right? And this is coming from a person that doesn't like wrestling anymore in his adult life. But this video, this man talks in a way that he makes anything interesting. Like, he could talk about dirt, and I think I'd find it interesting. 2 months ago, he came with a video called The Bizarre World of Fake Martial Arts.
Oh, my God.
And it's a
series. It's called, I watch Bushido.
Okay, so this is a 29-minute video of him just talking about those weird, like, quote-unquote senseis that think they have, like, mind powers and shit, that they can fucking, like, just look at you and you fucking fall to the floor and shit. So if you're into Kung Fu, go on YouTube and look up Super Eye Patch Wolf. It's his 4th video. It literally came out 2 months ago, and maybe you'll find this super interesting. It's called The Bizarre World of Fake Martial Arts. On that note. So, on that note...
Also, if you want to watch a decent movie on the history of, or on the life of Bruce Lee, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story is actually
that is very good. And I think it's streaming on Amazon Prime.
It's a very good biopic to watch. So, if you want like it's detailed, but it's not like, every single detail about his life. So, it came out like in the 90s, like 92.
Yeah.
93.
All right.
I stumbled across it when I was looking up Raid Redemption or something like that a few months ago.
Stay tuned to that.
Oh, by the way, you sold me with Super Eye Patch Wolf. He has Why the Shining is Terrifying.
Yeah, dude. I just added
that.
I came across this guy really random. like a year or two ago. I think a friend of mine mentioned him, and he's this Irish guy, and he knows cadence. He has a really nice voice. Like, I'm telling you, the man can talk about anything, and I would find it interesting. So check his channel out, Super Eye Patch Wolf on YouTube. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. On that note, stay tuned after this quick break when we come at you live with the main segment of our show, the main review, the Bonfire, the Vanities with Greg.
Yes.
Welcome to an exploration of sight and mind, a travel through the world of films and the artists that bring you these masterpieces. Do you love films, directors, actors, cinematographers, editors, composers, or any of the hundreds of artists that bring you these feats of art? I am Luislacau, your host into the world of films, your guide to Man Bites Retro.
All right, guys, welcome back for the main segment of our show, the main review. Today we have a very, very special guest, Greg Srisavasdi, the writer and editor for Deepest Dreams and the Cinemaddicts co-host. Thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, how are you?
Awesome.
I am good. And you know, William was telling me before we started the segment not to apologize, but literally, I do have to apologize for the Bonfire, the Vanities. Even I'm sure Lewis is going to talk about maybe past interviews with even Brian De Palma.
Oh my God!
Apologizing for this movie. So
you mean the apology tour that he took right after the movie came out?
Yes. So I appreciate the Brian De Palma reverence you guys are showing me with being a guest on your program. But yeah, it was funny that you picked the Bonfire of the Vanities. I did appreciate that pick. That was a pretty tongue-in-cheek pick by you guys.
So Greg, since Lewis picked it for you, what is Bonfire of the Vanities about? Give us the boilerplate.
Now, I think it's based on the best-selling acclaimed novel by, I think it's Thomas Wolfe. Okay, the Bonfire of the Vanities centers on this journalist played by Bruce Willis. He's ready. He's actually an acclaimed journalist, a successful journalist, but he's also an alcoholic, and he stumbles on this story, this life-saving story, wherein this rich Park Avenue Bond guy, this business Bond guy, played by Tom Hanks, I think his name is Sherman McCoy or something, he accidentally, with his mistress, played by Melanie Griffith, he is accused of running over, a hit and run with this young black youth. And the big controversy is that people think he's the main guy who did the incident, but it was actually the Melanie Griffith character, his mistress. So,
which is not a spoiler, by the way.
It's not a spoiler. That's the premise of the movie. And This movie, you can tell. I'm not a reader. I don't know if any of you guys are readers, but I know it's a really big book, and you can tell from this movie that it has all these layers about corruption and doing whatever it takes to gain fame in the media. Mm-hmm. But all of that stuff is approached in this movie, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Here's a spoiler. It doesn't work. I rewatched it. Brian De Palma, thanks to you guys. He's my favorite filmmaker, and I feel like I have. You guys didn't throw the egg, but I feel egg is running down my face just talking about this movie. So it's horrible.
I had to do Anderson a favor and kind of, throw in that little egg of Brian De Palma, since you guys are always arguing that point. I was like, since we had him last week, I was like, let's throw a little fun one for Greg. And he recommended this one, and it definitely...
Thank you, Anderson.
What other movies has Brian De Palma directed?
Carrie?
Well, I mean, yeah, the big ones, I think there's two camps with Brian De Palma fans. Obviously, the biggest camp, I think, would be the Scarface camp. So Scarface is above and beyond. I think most people say that's his best film. And then there are the weird Brian De Palma, just total weirdos like me, who say who put Scarface really low on the totem pole. Really
Same
low.
Here.
Even though no, that's being fair. That is there's a reason why that's number one. And like The Untouchables is another big one from De Palma. Mission Impossible. But they're the weird Brian De Palma guys like me. We love films like Raising Cain or Dress to Kill,
or Body Double,
the sexual thrillers that are just weird and perverse and visually striking. But also, if you actually watch some of those films right now without a pure appreciation for him, you might think like something like Body Double is totally cheesy. But weirdos,
I love Body Double. That's probably one of his best films for me, at least. And Raising Cain is actually streaming on Netflix now. It actually just dropped onto Netflix, and it is a fantastic watch. It's the first time I actually watched it, and I was like, wow, this is good.
But here's the thing. I don't know if you guys agree with this. It's with Raising Cain and films like that. Well, I don't know anyone on this earth who will recommend the Bonfire of the Vanities. We're gonna get to that, but I don't know if I could really fully recommend Raising Cain or Body Double to the average viewer. You know what I'm saying? Like Louis, on one past podcast, you're talking about there's movie fans and there's like cinema fans, and I think the average movie fan, I don't think I would recommend a lot of Brian De Palma's films. So.
Yeah, he is more of a filmmaker's filmmaker. He makes films for filmmakers. There's the little nuances that you could appreciate, and if you like those kind of like seedy suspense thrillers, you'll love Brian De Palma's real catalog, in our opinion.
I definitely think you could like recommend like Mission Impossible to a person that's not into quote unquote cinema. You know?
I personally really like Mission to Mars. A lot of people don't like that movie.
Yeah.
This movie! Holy shit! I haven't seen this movie in forever.
I enjoyed it. I especially loved the ending part where like he's in the room and you see like all this CGI thing in front of him. But like I enjoyed the ending. I enjoyed the movie, but I loved that part, the ending movie part of Mission to Mars.
The discount 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. No, you mispronounced it. Upgraded. No disrespect to you other guys, but you're not my favorite person because you actually showed appreciation to Mission to Mars, which I think you're the first person who's ever said that to me. So very awesome. And you remember the ending, so that props to you for that.
I love that.
I also loved The Untouchables, which I know wasn't exactly like the most accurate biopic known to man.
Right. Yeah.
But I loved the cast. De Niro was a great Capone. De Niro versus like everybody else basically, but like the way that he embodies him, like I liked The Untouchables. I know a lot of people are like, but it was so wrong. It doesn't really matter. The movie itself was good. I thought it was well done. So
agreed. And so going back to Bonfire.
Yeah. By the way, guys, I want to hear you guys absolutely tear this one because gloves off. I know you guys are waiting to tear this, and it's going to be hard for me to even defend it. So, but I do have one defense, and so I want to hear what each of you guys think about this film.
So, Greg, do you even like this film like at all? Is there any redeeming?
I will get. Brandon, I'm gonna be fair. I want to hear every negative thing. I want to hear all the negative things first, and then I'm gonna give you the one caveat with all the bad shit you guys are gonna throw at this.
Okay.
And which by the way is very warranted. It's very warranted.
Maria annoyed the fuck out of me. Like, especially when they're in the car and they get off at the wrong exit. She's like that person in the group when something's going wrong that's like narrating what's going wrong, and you're like, I can see what's going wrong. Shut the hell up so that we can focus how to fix this and we can get out of this and not have to bitch 24/7. I would have opened the door, kicked her out in the middle of the Bronx in whatever decade they were in, shut the door, and it would have been a lot less trouble than with everything that happened. Oh my God, I really hope that something bad happened to her, like she would die, and she doesn't. And I'm like, damn it, this movie sucks. That's my review. Moving on.
My thing was, and I know it does it on purpose, but like it just, I feel like the movie is just up its own ass. Like it relies. It's just like, oh, everybody's super racist and everybody's super corrupt. It just felt very preachy in a weird way to me, and I didn't particularly enjoy it.
You didn't like. So how about that Morgan Freeman speech at the end?
And then the crowd goes back to being super racist. It's just stupid.
That is one of the worst speeches I've ever heard in my life. That's like, I thought I've given horrible speeches on dates, but Morgan Freeman surpassed me in those 3 minutes about being decent to each other. I can't. That's one of the worst moments in Brian De Palma's body of work I've ever seen. And William, to your point, the first time I saw the Bonfire of the Vanities, my biggest complaint was Melanie Griffith. I remember seeing this movie.
Miscast.
It was miscast. Well, yes, it was miscast. She was so annoying. But now,
yes,
when I look at it now, I think, because I've seen it 3 times, and the last time I saw it was about 20 years ago, I realized that her character was supposed to be that annoying. And when I thought Melanie Griffith, I've turned the page on Melanie Griffith. For years, I was so annoyed by her, the way she is. But now it's weird. I really understand. I kind of appreciate her more. I don't know. Maybe I should be on drugs for saying that, but I actually really, I do appreciate her in a deeper sense, I guess. But
it just felt like everybody in the movie was like this really, really just just a stereotype.
Right.
Like the reverend and the really shady like district attorney. It's just like the entire. It's funny. I wasn't bored watching the movie, but I didn't particularly enjoy it. If that makes any sense. Like I wasn't looking at my watch like, okay, the movie's almost done, but it just felt like a train wreck, and I couldn't avert my eyes the entire time.
It was a total train wreck, and I'm sure, Louis, you're going to throw in some really great research that you've done about this, and it's coming up right now. But my only Louis, how bad did you? Well, you like Raising Cane's, so you can go either way on this because you might actually kind of like it. So I don't know what you think about it.
I actually enjoyed this movie.
Oh boy!
Wow!
I knew it.
Wow!
He's gonna come like the Kubrick-esque reasoning as to why he enjoys it. I'm just gonna sit here and sip my tea.
I love Sal Rubinick's performance in this as the assistant DA. Like his performance is just brilliant. But I like the underlying tone, which, granted, it is from the novel and it was butchered in the film. It wasn't executed properly, but I like the undertone of the movie where it is about this. We all live in a society. We all have a part to play in our society, and we all look at each other this certain way. These stereotypes exist for a reason, and they're there. But will that ever change? No matter how much of a speech is given, which I think that's the whole point of Morgan Freeman's speech, and that's why it is so cheesy, is because that's our view from the outside. That is our view of somebody with a different point of view, viewing what that person is saying, even though we don't agree with them. That's why we don't agree with them, because we can never understand what he's actually getting at. And I think that's the whole point of the story, is to understand that there's no way we could put ourselves in the shoe of anybody else outside of our society. As much as we try, and as woke that we may become as a society, honestly, it is very hard to put yourself in the shoe of somebody else in the society that you aren't part of, because you've never been through that. And I think that's the whole point of the story, and I like that.
I think Brandon had a really good point when he was saying that he wasn't bored with the movie, but he didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I think the idea about not being bored when you're watching a Brian De Palma film, when people say they're not bored, I think that means that they appreciate the way he moves the camera, the way a scene is structured or composed. The reason why it doesn't work, because Brian De Palma, Louis, you really gave a really good dissertation on what this movie could have been. But I think that's great. He should have hired you on as a scriptwriter on this, and that, I'm not being comedic about that, really, because you actually hit the point. He doesn't. His films don't bore you if you like moving pictures, but there's no execution in the storyline. To your point, Brandon, it just doesn't. The story doesn't work. And William was talking about how Melanie Griffith was annoying. It took me 30 years to really appreciate her performance in The Bonfire of the Vanities. You're supposed to like her from the first time you see it. You see what I'm saying? So he's more focused on the way the cameras is placed and where the shot is going, and that's why he's my favorite filmmaker. But when it comes to the actual story, like Brandon was talking about, a lot of his stuff you just want to throw in the wastebasket, and most people will just say this movie sucks, dude.
But the thing is,
like, to make
he tried to set up the performances. He tried to set up the reason that he cast it and that he goes on to speak about it, the fact that he casted Tom Hanks so miscast it because this character is supposed to be this basically irreverent person, that he's supposed to be this asshole that you're not supposed to be able to identify with. He tried to cast the everyday man because Tom Hanks, mind you, this is Tom Hanks, Castaway, pre all these things. He was coming off of Big Splash and all these movies where he was the everyday man.
Yeah.
So that's what he was supposed to be, the view from the audience. He was supposed to be the everyday man that was this thing, but the character was such an asshole that it fails to identify, and you can't connect with the movie. And I think that's where the disconnect is.
Go ahead, William.
Wait, okay, Brandon, you were saying.
So I was reading up on the movie, and there's the scene when Maria's husband dies in the restaurant when he's having a drink with Bruce Willis's character.
Alan King, right?
Yeah. That scene was actually supposed to be longer, but Bruce Willis was so hot and no one liked him on set. He was so hot that he pressured Brian De Palma into rushing the scene, and it was supposed to be longer. That's why that scene's super weird when he just falls over. Yeah, it's just, I was reading that, I was like, that is incredible.
And De Palma said it. De Palma said it, that it wasn't the studio's fault. He takes full blame for it because he tried to make a film for the mass audiences. That's why he tried to kind of bring down Tom Hanks' character to an everyday man instead of being this complete asshole like he is in the book. And because of that, he changed the full dynamic of all the characters. And miscasting Melanie Griffith he actually even said it, and even she said it. She's like, after watching the movie, she was like, dude, this is not, I wasn't supposed to be this character, but De Palma wanted me to be this character because he felt like it would be able to give people an identity, and it just failed.
It's true though, because by the end of the movie, you do feel for Tom Hanks' character, Sherman. So at the beginning, you're like, this guy's, huh?
It was successful with what he was trying to do. What he was trying to do failed, and the cool thing about Brian De Palma, and I give him mad props for this, is that in the interviews that he's done about this movie, he says, "This is completely my train wreck. I'm the one that caused this to fall apart." And I give a lot of credit for that.
I really want to read there's a book called The Devil's Candy.
Yes.
Right. So, and that's a book that I've been meaning to read for years on end, where he gives her the horrible move. He gives a journalist carte blanche on set to write about everything that's going on, just like that Peter Fallow character has carte blanche to do whatever he wants to do. It's a little bit of a parallel universe situation. And supposedly she wrote a lot of bad things in that book, and he said essentially pretty much everything that she said is pretty right on the spot.
That thing with Bruce Willis is from that. If you go on the Wikipedia article for the Bonfire, the Vanities, the movie, they talk about the Devil's Candy, and that's where they talked about Bruce Willis basically being a diva on set, and nobody liked him, and all this jazz. It was funny.
That seems to be his MO, though, because like a lot of not a lot, but there has been other directors that have come forward that have worked with Bruce, and they're like, we were so glad when he got wrapped up because we just could not. Like Kevin Smith is one of them. Kevin Smith with Cop Out. He was like, I think that they still do not get along with each other. It's just like he could not be done quickly enough. My question is, does anybody know whose idea it was to make Morgan Freeman bald in this movie? Because that was something.
Dude, I was gonna bring that up. It was so just weird seeing
how are you going to give Bruce Willis a full set of hair and make Morgan Freeman bald? Like, who got fired for that idea? Jesus.
I think it has to be the worst performance. I mean, the worst. I don't think he gives bad performances, but he was just put in such a bad place in that movie. It's just an obvious character, and I just didn't like
the entire time. Whenever they showed a court scene and he was in it, and the whole crowd's going crazy, and he's just banging his gavel. I'm like, dude, just arrest these people. They're in your courtroom. Like,
why is it not clearing the fucking courtroom?
Yeah, like clear the courtroom. Like, what are you doing? These people just don't shut up.
I love the Al Sharpton wannabe character. That guy just pissed me off every time he went on screen.
Yeah,
what do you call it? Greg, I wanted to know, have you ever interviewed any of the main cast of this?
Well, I have a De Palma story, but my only thing about the Bonfire of the Vanities is the only piece of good news is after letting this film soak in my bloodstream for years on end, and to actually watch it again, it went from being the biggest bomb in the world to actually a passable movie for me, only as a De Palma fan. So I actually found this to be a lot funnier now because I went through 2 previous times really hating the movie. So I can, it actually like good wine, actually like maybe for this thing, it's like a good Capri Sun left out in the sun. You appreciate the taste, even though the taste is bad. I don't know why. But, and Branden, to your point about one of the things he said about how he shoots movies is something that Hitchcock always says. And I know you guys probably know this, is Hitchcock says, if you want to see a good movie, you turn down the volume and you just watch it. And if you can follow the story, and if you're still into it, that means there's a filmmaker there. And I think, unfortunately, the good thing about it is if you watch really bad plotted Brian De Palma films like The Bonfire of the Vanities and The Black Dahlia. By the way, if you just watch The Black Dahlia and pretend there's another script, you write your own script and just watch the movie, that's a classic film. It's a beautiful looking movie and it moves, but you just have to remove the dialogue and just watch it. So unfortunately, that's the only defense I have with all of his movies. At least all of his movies are very visually arresting and intriguing. And this movie, that one opening shot, which is, I don't know how long it took, that one take,
yes,
where he's with Rita Wilson in the beginning. That's one of the most elaborate De Palma shots you're going to see, that in the opening shot at Snake Eyes. So on a visual level, The Bonfire of the Vanities is actually, I think, underrated. Now, to your about the De Palma, have I ever interviewed any of these people here? I've interviewed Bruce Willis a couple of times. I remember interviewing him for, I think the movie was Die Hard with a Vengeance in New York.
Wow.
And he was Bruce Willis, meaning he was dismissive of the journalist, but not in a very overtly hostile way. So, for example, when the interview wrapped up, I'm sitting right next to him, and I asked, "Hey, Bruce, are you going to be in this Western called?" I forgot what the Western was. I think it's something about Duel of Diablo. And it's not Duel of. It's a movie that Emilio Estevez ultimately starred in. So Estevez starred in a Western that Bruce Willis was supposed to star in, and I asked Bruce before Estevez was in it, "Are you going to be in this movie?" And the way he said, he looked away from me, and then he patted me on the shoulder, and he said, "No." But he didn't do it in a rude way. He just no, like that. So, but it wasn't overtly rude. I wasn't completely pissed off at him.
So he wasn't like Russell Crowe status. It was
Russell Crowe. Well, we can get. I mean, you should have picked Master and Commander, because Russell Crowe is another guy who's a total. With us, he was a total a-hole for the first. Like for virtual, this is so back in the day, but Virtuosity, he was a total a-hole because some of the other journalists, when you ask him a stupid question, he's going to give you a very stupid answer, and he's going to answer you with. I know you guys probably get that vibe from him. He'll answer you with a little bit of malice, but as the years progressed and he got to know us, he was completely loyal. Like, for example, when the publicist would try to cut off the interview, he would tell the publicist to leave the room because he liked us, and we'd get an extra 10 to 15 minutes with him. So the cool thing about Crowe is when he meets you, he's a little bit of a pit bull because he doesn't trust you. He doesn't know you from Adam, right? But when he gets to know you, if he feels like he knows you, then he'll go the extra mile with you.
Yeah. And I think it's the fact that you guys get, like, sometimes the actors get torn apart on the media. So if you're actually taking it for the word that he's saying, like you guys do, at least from what I've seen, you build that trust with the actors, a rapport with the actors, and I think that's important.
Okay, so this is a De Palma segment. I have a De Palma story.
Yeah, let's see it.
I did the press junket for Carlito's Way in New York. So I'm sure you guys love Carlitos, right? So the night before, me and my buddy Aaron, we were huge De Palma fans. So this was back in, I'm trying to remember when Carlitos was made. Maybe 93 or 94?
92? 93.
Oh,
okay,
really? So you got to check this out. I had just graduated UCLA. I had my first job, and I was continuing to do press junkets. So they flew me out to New York. My buddy Aaron, who was also UCLA, and he got another job for another outlet. We sat at the round table for Carlito's Way, and we got to actually interview De Palma. And the night before, we both made a vow to write, each of us, like a bunch of idiots, to write an appreciation letter to De Palma. To say, oh, you're the most amazing thing, and I love you, man. I've worshipped your films. Casualties of War was better than Platoon. All these kind of things, okay? All these kind of horrible things that you say when you're really young. I was in my room eating bites of New York pizza and drinking cream soda or root beer, and I'm writing the letter. And as I'm a page in, I think to myself, this is the stupidest thing I'm doing, because De Palma seems to me like a bit of an a-hole, or at least mean or gruff. So I'm not gonna give him Jack SHIT, right? So I decided for the interviews not to give him the letter. But my buddy Aaron, he ended up trying to give the letter to De Palma out in the lobby I think it was at the Regency Hotel in New York on Park Avenue. And De Palma doesn't even give him eye contact. He just swipes the letter and he doesn't throw it in the trash. He just puts it in his jacket. He just does no eye contact. And ever since that day, Aaron has hated Brian De Palma and his films with a freaking passion.
Wow.
And he still nails me every single day by saying Raising Cane's my favorite De Palma film. So, Louis, I mean, he hates De Palma with a passion. So,
that's funny, man. Wow.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that, though.
Yeah.
Like, at least from the interviews I've seen.
Yeah, no. He's always been. Yeah, and I interviewed him for, I think it was Femme Fatale back in 2001 and 2002, and he was complaining about how even though he's respected, no one ever writes books about him. Obviously, this is before De Palma, the documentary was released, but he was saying, "Oh, no one when you go to whatever the bookseller was, when you go to Borders or something, you never see books about Brian De Palma. You see books about Quentin Tarantino." And I just, as soon as he started saying that, I just rolled my eyes.
In the same category as Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, he did. God. Yeah, he did. I mean, you know what? I think Tarantino's made some really great films, and De Palma has a point that he should have gotten a lot of more recognition, but it just sounds like he's a crybaby by saying that kind of stuff.
I mean, Kubrick didn't get much recognition during his time. I mean, it took literally Barry Lyndon for him to even start getting any recognition, and that was 30 years into his career. So, I mean...
Greg, it's funny how you basically shit talk Brian De Palma, and then you're like, he's my favorite filmmaker.
You know, Brandon, that's very good. I don't mind, because his personality, his horrible personality, does not dissuade me from actually absolutely loving his movies.
I was going to say that it's like, a man's art and the art form that he has doesn't make him a great person. There's been lots of people that have been great artists in their field, but were complete tools. But you can't help but respect them, and in some cases like them, and maybe hate yourself a little bit for liking them, because they're like, this guy's a dick, but oh my god, he's good, and I can't help myself.
That's like Kubrick.
I'm not married. I don't have a girlfriend. When I'm on a date with someone, I will never tell her that Woody Allen was one of my all-time favorite filmmakers, and he still is. I will only say it right now on Manbitesmedia, and you can use that against me, but I will never say how much I absolutely love Woody Allen.
Oh, Greg, I'll stand by you 100%. Woody Allen, I own, I think, 95% of his collection.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love his movies. Anytime his movie comes out, I'll wait for it to come out on DVD used, because I won't go and give money in his pocket, but you better believe I'll go buy it as soon as it comes out used.
well, Louis, I agree with you. I love Woody Allen, but I am not going to die on that hill with you. I will never admit it to anybody in a only with these 4 people and the people listening to this podcast. I will admit that. I won't even admit it on the Cinematics group. If you guys troll me, I will say I plead the fifth. You have to subscribe to Manbitesmedia to get to the truth. I'm not gonna do that.
So to end this out, Greg, what do you give the Bonfire of the Vanities out of 10? What's your rating of the film?
Can we go into the negative numbers?
Sure.
I give it a letter F. No, but seriously, I would give it out of. Okay. So,
are you gonna give it an 8, Greg? Are you gonna give it an 8?
Okay, Lewis, I listened to your last podcast, guys. Lewis, considering there should be 2 ratings, right? Movies and film.
That's how I think of it.
Okay, so my movie rating for this is 2. Okay, for my Brian De Palma, me being a Brian De Palma fan, I give this movie a 6. So maybe split the difference. Yeah,
5 overall.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
William, how about you?
Okay.
4. 4. I'll put it 4. Not taking away, like he said, like the filmmaking aspect, the technical side of it is well done.
Yes.
Maria just brings everything down. Like, even if I loved this movie and I'm like, this is the greatest movie I've seen in my life, and I'm going to give it a 10, Maria brings it down to a 4. But I'm going to come in with a hard 4 and call it a day. Lewis, what do you give it?
I'll give this a 7.5. I actually enjoyed it.
William, Branden, how do you guys stand Lewis every single week? Because he probably... I'm assuming he's such the contrarian voter for you guys. Do you guys pop pills while he gives a rating?
Dude,
if you find like the right episodes, you will hear movies that Lewis is like, this was such a great movie, and this was great, and that
and then he gets it a 6,
and then it's like, I'm gonna give it a 2. What?
No, see, the thing, Greg, is you've known Lewis for however amount of time. So has William. I've known Lewis since the day I was born. I grew up.
Condolences.
He's basically like my big brother, so I have to deal with this shit for the majority of my life, basically, up until this point. So I've just I've gained like a tolerance to him, but
wow.
Yeah.
Lewis, you're the kind of guy who says The Master is PTA's best movie, right?
I hate The Master. I hated The Master so much. Okay. Oh my god.
Lewis is like a fungus. He grows on you, and then you just don't want to... You name it, you keep it around, becomes your best friend, and you can't get rid of it.
Wait, Lewis, I think the reason why I'm giving you all this ish is because I really relate to you, because The Master and Phantom Thread are my favorite PTA movies. That's a big twist. I
actually really enjoyed the Phantom Thread. That was when you're defending it constantly on Cinematics. I'm always like, yes. I'm screaming at the radio. I'm like, yes, thank you.
So what do I give it?
Yeah, Branden. Before we forget.
Again, I wasn't bored by the movie, but I didn't enjoy it. I feel like it's a train wreck, and I couldn't avert my eyes. And also, I know it's I know everybody's supposed to be a stereotype, but for me that just detracts from it. I just think he takes it too far.
Yeah.
At certain points in the movie.
Agreed.
Like the Reverend, dear God, don't even get me started with that character. Oh my God.
I feel good.
Yeah.
Dude, he is literally the epitome of Al Sharpton.
Oh God.
Literally Sharpton.
But I'll give it a. I'm gonna agree with William. I'm gonna give it a 4.5, not a 4, 4.5, a little bit more. But hey, close enough. Yeah. Would I recommend this to anybody? I don't know. Would you recommend this to anybody, Greg?
I would just recommend it to just straight up Brian De Palma fans, and if you Melanie Griffith fans, because there's probably a select few. There's a select Brian De Palma fans. There's select Melanie Griffith fans as well. Before we do the segment, I'm just curious for each of you, what's your favorite De Palma film, or maybe just what would be your highest rated De Palma film? Maybe that's even 2 different things, but just right off the top of your head, I'd like to know.
Untouchables for me, and I give it a good 8. Again, not because it's based on what happens in the movie isn't exactly what happened in real life.
Right.
But it is definitely, like, the cast is amazing. It's well done. Like, I love Capone. I love Ness. And then Sean Connery, that's just like, he's like the dad that keeps everybody together up until the very end. And that line where he's like looking down the building and he's like, did he sound like that? When he throws him off the building, which was like great, because like, he squealed like a pig. And then the pun afterward, and they're like, where'd he go? He's like, he's in the car. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That's the greatest line ever. The Untouchables for me.
Good one, yeah.
Lewis.
Body Double and Sisters, by far.
Wow, Lewis. Deep pulls there. Those are deep pulls.
So I'll be honest, I'm not like super educated in the filmmaking of Brian De Palma, but from what I have seen, as ridiculous as Scarface is, I like Scarface a bit.
That's horrible.
I like Mission
Impossible. As a Cuban, how can you appreciate that movie?
Because it's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm not saying it's like the accurate depiction of a Cuban. It's just a ridiculous movie, But probably Mission Impossible. I like Mission Impossible a lot. I like
the original one. I definitely enjoyed the original one.
Yeah, the original is really good.
Yeah. So again, my personal favorite streaming on Netflix is Raising Cain. It's not his best film, but it's for pure Brian De Palma fans who just totally get his weird humor that probably is the reason why he's not making any more movies anymore. And he's just a weird, like a Baroque. He's, I interviewed Nicolas Cage, and he called his work with Brian De Palma and Snake Eyes as Baroque. So I was just, I had to look up that word after that interview. But yeah, he's
leave it to Nick Cage to say that.
If it's not Baroque, don't fix it.
Yeah, Baroque. Yeah, but so my favorite again is Raising Cain. But to the movie point, I would recommend the one movie I would recommend to people just as a pure movie going experience, other than Scarface. I love Scarface too as a movie going experience because, like Branden said, it's ridiculous. But I would say to William's choices, I think The Untouchables, it doesn't get any better as far as just a pure movie that everyone can love. It's a screenplay by David Mamet, great performance by Sean Connery, and you actually love Kevin Costner is up and down for me, but he's so good in this movie, just as he was in like No Way Out. This is like prime Kevin Costner.
That was another great movie that I low key very much like. No Way Out.
Oh my gosh! Have you guys talked about it on the show? And
we have not yet.
No, we have not. No.
Have you seen it other than William?
Yeah.
I have not. No, I have not.
Oh,
we will make sure that you do in the near future, Branden. It is worth watching.
Branden needs a lot of educating.
Shut up!
Oh, shut up! You and your cinema.
Branden, whatever you guys do, if you guys assign No Way Out to Branden, make sure he does not read anything about that movie. Just let him, Branden, just go into that blind.
Okay.
And I think you'll really and I don't know, you could hate it, but for me, if the less you know about the movie, in my opinion, you're gonna be. I think you'll be blown away.
Awesome. I'm glad you guys said that because last time I said that, I made him watch Irreversible, and he's never let me live that down. So
no, that has been superseded.
Wow.
By
did you tell Lewis? Did you tell Branden that it's what did you pitch it as? Some simple love story from Europe? Is that what
No, I didn't pitch it at all. I said that this is a French movie that is beautifully done.
So
that's torture. Why do you do that?
So look at this. Look,
I'm the man that makes us watch Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, that movie is now. I will never let Lewis live down.
Antichrist.
No, Cannibal Holocaust is the worst thing you've ever made me watch. Just imagine me in high school. I'm very impressionable. Lewis is in his 20s, and he's just showing me the scene of the guy getting his face bashed in Irreversible, and I'm like, my God. And then I watched the movie, and then the rape. I was like, this is way too much. This is just
They're like, what is my cousin into?
Yeah, dude, seriously.
Well, on Cinemaddicts, I'm very very clean, but I will say this, and I'll be. This is as randy as I get, but Monica Bellucci is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life.
Yes,
I interviewed her for Irreversible, and Milena. You guys talked about Milena on your last podcast, but I interviewed her for both movies, and I think the only one who rivals her is Salma Hayek as far as pure beauty.
She is gorgeous. Agreed.
So on that note, Greg, do you want to plug anything before we send this home?
Brian De Palma movies.
Oh yeah. Only the only thing I'm not going to plug my podcast or my website. I just want to say that you guys are much better to talk to and share movies with an Anderson Cowan. So I won't even mention it. That's the number one part. And then number
I'll make sure to send them the link.
And make sure and tell them. Unfortunately, Greg was telling the truth off air. That wasn't a joke. So. Yeah, that was a joke. Please. And the last thing is, I'll only be PO'd if you guys don't have me back again. So that's the only thing.
No,
I will plug.
Come on as often as you want. You were a blast. Thank you.
We'll talk Secretariat next time he comes on.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. What? Talk which one?
Secretariat.
Secretarian?
No. Lewis can't stand horse movies, and
he really can't.
And it was a thing.
Oh, the one was that the one with Diane Lane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. I'm sorry for dropping names, guys. That's one thing because I do that thing with Matt. Like I actually even did that press junket. So, and Diane Lane's just the sweetest person in the world. So, but thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for being on, man.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, man. Thank you.
And no more irreversible freaking recommendations to Branden Lewis. That's
no, please. Thank you.
I have a couple more up my sleeve.
That's horrible. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Later.
Bye.
On that note, stay tuned for after this quick break when we come at you with Spiel Binge. All right, guys, welcome back for our new, not so new segment, Spiel Binge. This is where our special guest, Zach, every week brings us one Steven Spielberg movie, and we talk about it, review it, until we go through his entire filmography.
And we are going into the dark ages now.
So, Zach, what's the movie you're bringing for us this week?
The Color Purple.
And that was not a pun intended. I'm sorry. That was bad wording on my part.
Wow.
I didn't even realize that until afterwards. I was like, oh, shit.
I've never seen this movie.
It's really shitty.
It's fine. I don't like period pieces as a rule. Like costume dramas doesn't really do it for me. Same with coming of age movies typically. And this is both of those. And it's very heavy, it's very sad. It's a little sad porn-ish.
Yeah.
It
wallows in its own misery basically.
It really does.
Just a bit.
Isn't Oprah in this thing?
Yes, as Oprah, Whoopi Goldberg in her first role, who's fantastic in it. Danny Glover. Yeah. It's pretty stacked.
This is the first movie that Whoopi Goldberg starred in?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And
I did not know that.
Phenomenal.
She really is phenomenal in this. She is the best part of this movie by far. Yeah. Everybody else kind of just, they meander.
My favorite Whoopi Goldberg will always be Sister Act in Ghost.
Sister Act.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
so what's...
I love her in that one Muppet movie where she plays God.
I have no idea what Muppet movie that is, but sure.
It was like a 2000Z one.
Oh my god! So
I'm not a fan of the Muppets, so.
Wait, but don't you like some of the Muppet movies, Lewis?
I do not.
Really?
I have never watched any of the movies in theaters. Never been a big fan of them. I was a fan of Muppet Babies when I was a kid.
Muppets, like the Muppets Take Manhattan, or.
Nope.
Like Treasure Island with Tim Curry.
I saw Treasure Island. I liked that one somewhat. Okay. But
what about the Christmas Carol?
I've never seen it full, like completely.
Zach, what is the plot of The Color
Purple? So it's, as I said, it's a coming of age story, turn of the 20th century. You're talking about a small community in the Deep South, and following Whoopi Goldberg's character as she grows up through her just horrendous life, full of all kinds of abuse and struggles, and the relationship that she has with her sister, who she's forced apart from, the relationship that she has with the husband that she's forced to, the relationship that she has with his mistress, who is also, she's great, I forget her name. But yeah, it's a glimpse of a harrowing life.
I think my biggest beef with this movie is that it feels like a TV movie.
Yeah, it didn't feel especially cinematic to me.
It really doesn't. And his next 3 films, this one, Amistad, and Always, I think it was.
The next one is Empire of the Sun.
Oh God, even Empire of the Sun. That's another one. They're all, I consider them the dark age of Spielberg because of just, they're really shitty. And it's kind of weird.
What the fuck?
Good. Fuck off.
Dude. Real random. This has nothing to do with this movie. So I looked up The Color Purple on Google. I went into the images just to see some images of the movie. And the second image, if you guys want to Google it yourselves, it's from Etsy. And it is a professional quality, fine lace, full coverage, black/brown pubic wig. What the fuck?
Well, so we've talked about that and the Muppets in this review of The Color Purple.
So I don't know what you're Googling or what your Google is set to, but I just Googled The Color Purple, and there's a lot of pictures from the movie and the cast.
No, there is. So search up The Color Purple on movie, I guess, on Google Images, or Google, and then search images. And it's like literally the second one. It's really weird. I don't know. My computer's weird. Continue with the said review of The Color Purple.
It is part of what made this perhaps not feel as cinematic as the other ones. This isn't John Williams.
Yeah.
So
okay,
it's a step down.
Who did the score in this
Quincy
movie?
Jones.
Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a curious choice to me.
It really was, but also it was in that same era where musicians were actually crossing over into films. So you could see that jump in, because I think this was mid 80s, right?
85. Yeah.
85. Okay. So yeah, and that the jazz and the the musicians of rock and all that stuff, they're kind of mixing in, because you got Labyrinth the same year you had, which was the whole soundtrack was done by David Bowie. You know, you had other soundtracks that were like that were all done by these famous bands or singers. So
it does. So I've read a bit of the controversy surrounding this is like, did Spielberg sanitize the story based off the book or even the play, that they're apparently much more intense and explicit and rough.
Okay.
But that was sort of one of the things that I appreciated about it, but I understand it being a mixed blessing, a double-edged sword, was the depictions of all of the abuse and all of the violence were very tastefully done. Nothing was very explicit. It knew when to cut away. It knew when to obscure the shot or show it in shadow or something. And so I just watched, for example, the other night I rewatched Gone Girl, David Fincher's Gone Girl, and that is
a good movie.
But it's so graphic in its depictions of all of these horrible things, and so this was a bit of a breath of fresh air to see.
The one scene, whenever I think of how graphic Gone Girl is when the scene in the bedroom when the person slices.
With MPH.
Yeah, and it's just like, whoa! It's just really violent. Yeah.
But yeah, so I understand people saying that sanitized it, but I found it to be more tasteful. So that was a positive note for me. That Whoopi Goldberg's performance.
Isn't there a scene in here that there is something, like, I forgot what it was, that Whoopi Goldberg or somebody else does something really, like, out of character for her. It was like some really weird sexual shit that is kind of shown but not really.
She has a gay relationship with the mistress.
That's what it was. Yes, that was actually interesting as fuck.
Like, that was like a really beautiful scene. I really did like that.
That was probably the most cinematic scene in the whole film that I remember.
Yeah.
So, real random, Zach. Why, out of just curiosity, because you mentioned earlier, why don't you like period pieces or coming of age films? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. There's something about costume drama period pieces where you need to do something really left field, really creative to kind of keep my interest and have me not be like, yes, look at all the pretty dresses and look at the scenery in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever seen Barry Lyndon?
No, I have not, but I've been told that is one that would kind of be interesting for me. The most recent Little Women was weird enough that I dug it.
I was gonna bring up Little Women. I'm assuming you did not like that movie.
I dug it. It was weird enough. What Greta Gerwig did was stylized enough that I got into it.
All right.
But yeah, it's something that never really clicks for me, and this was another one that didn't really click for me.
All right.
I'm interested to see, because like Lewis said, these are the dark times of Spielberg. Movies that I haven't seen, The Color Purple, I haven't seen Empire of the Sun, or some of the other ones coming up, so it's kind of interesting.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the next one, that Empire of the Sun, is Christian Bale's film debut?
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know Christian Bale, and there's another celebrity in there too. Another
John Malkovich is in it as well.
Yes, that's who it was. Okay, yeah. I didn't like that movie. I really did not like that movie.
I'm just looking at like a scene of the movie, like a picture, and it's like it's like fucking Christian Bale. Literally, he looks exactly the same. It's so creepy. Just of course, way older.
Let's see. This was in 1987. I think he was born late 70s. Yeah, he was born in 74. So he was 13.
There you go.
Yeah.
He doesn't look 13 in the movie, but, to each their own.
So we get another iconic film debut up next. So that's
it's got a big cast. It's got John Malkovich, Ben Stiller, I can't pronounce his last name, Joe Pantoliano.
Pantoliano.
Miranda Richardson is in it. I don't know why the name Nigel Havers sounds familiar, but it's one of the top 6. Like, I've seen this movie a few times. I like it. It was definitely an eye-opener.
Wait, which one? Are we talking Color Purple here, or are we talking Empire of the Sun?
Empire of the Sun, it talks about the concept. Yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
But we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
Color Purple, I sat through it once. I pushed. I suffered. I was good. I moved on. I never to watch it again. And my life is completely okay.
So, I guess ratings from the three of you, since I haven't seen it.
4.
Dang.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Wait, Zach, you said 5 or 6?
Yeah. It's fine. It's well made. It's
No. Zach, I hear you trying to be nice, man. I want to hear the rawness. Just give it to me, man.
Don't lie to your soul. Don't lie to your soul.
Lay it out here, dude. Just tell us.
It wasn't my thing. It had really weirdly placed comic relief.
It really does. It feels like it cut the film.
Uneven.
Yeah.
A movie like this, I don't think should have any kind of comedy in it, though. Like, it just feels like you're watching something like this, and then they make something. I don't know. It's like watching a movie. Like, I'm not saying it's the same thing before anybody gets upset, but it's like watching a movie about 9/11, and there's comedy in it. Like, you don't want to laugh. You feel weird laughing. It's just like I feel like there shouldn't be comedy in this kind of like.
And this was that same type of. I felt uncomfortable at its comic relief. But I also felt uncomfortable at its brutal drama. So it wasn't my thing.
Okay. Awesome. So next week, Empire of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun.
Yeah, another one I haven't seen. The Dark Ages continue.
No,
for me, that is. Thank you, Zach.
Yes, thank you.
And as always, stay tuned after this quick break when we come at you never live with the final segment of our show, the individual reviews. Reviews.
Real binge.
Spill binge. I stroked out there. It's okay.
As the songs of awakening rang through, the world was created. The silence was broken.
Middle-earth, with its rolling hills, broken mountains, flowing rivers, and beautiful forest, was created.
Cellar Door is a journey into the mythology, the mystery, and the beauty of Middle-earth. Sit back.
Close your eyes.
And imagine.
All right, guys, welcome back for the final segment of our show, Never Live, the individual reviews.
Except once. We were live once.
That is very true. So I can't say never, but we're not live.
You must change now.
William is going to be going first this week.
I am, and I'm actually going to review 2 shows, which...
The only thing you've watched in the last, 3 weeks?
I mean, no, it only took me, since the last time since the last time we started recording, it took me 5 days.
Did you experience the what do you call it, the message of shame from Netflix? Are you still watching this?
I fucking hate when Netflix, dude. My girlfriend is the queen of binging, and she recently got into the show Community, the comedy show.
Oh, it's so good.
It is a good show, but she'll be watching, and it's are you still watching? It's Netflix. I'm here, you bitch. Why are you asking me, man? I hate this. Continue, William. I'm sorry, I had to go on a little rant there.
It's the message of shame.
It is a message of shame.
I mean, they should change it to, because obviously we're gonna be there. But I love that meme that goes they should change it from "Are you still there?" to "You need to go up, shower, and come back."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't they make it something fun, you should go outside and get some sun, or go wash yourself, you dirty bastard.
There's one
wash yourself.
That said, it was a church, and he goes, "I finished Netflix. What's next?" But no, the show I watched, there's more seasons coming, which I didn't realize. I thought they were done, so I'm because I like binge watching shows when they're done, so I know that it's it ends and I'm not left in suspense. But they're also very independent seasons from each other, so it sets well. And the shows, I learned a lot of Spanish that I can't use in a normal conversation.
Depends on a normal conversation.
Plomo o plata? I think he says that in the first episode. Plomo o plata?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking more the I don't know if I can say it, but it's the different uses of the word marica, and how puto can actually mean different things depending on how you're saying it. Or, all different kinds. But I've also learned more Spanish, which is great. And obviously I'm talking about Narcos Season 1, 2, and 3, and Narcos Mexico Season 1 and 2.
So
Jesus, is there that many?
Yeah, so
there's 5 seasons, 10 episodes each, so it's 50 freaking episodes.
So
no, it's not that bad.
William, is Narcos done? The OG one, is it done, or are they are they still going to be making?
They're bringing. There's another season coming.
Oh, okay. Didn't that one kind of not? Isn't it not great anymore? It's kind of it's eh.
I remember watching the first season back in the day.
Seasons are really good because the first 2 seasons are literally the rise and fall of Pablo Escobar.
Yeah. It got boring after halfway through the season. I was this is getting kind of repetitive. I'm done.
Well, I mean, like, it's getting repetitive, but I mean, that's what it went through. That's what happened. That's what, it's... Then the third season of Narcos is the rise and fall of the Cali cartel, which is what took over after the Escobar was killed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the rival clan of Escobar.
That was the rival clan, which then obviously comes to power, takes power. There's a power struggle because obviously not everybody went with them. So it's how they got taken down. And then and it's all in Colombia. And then Colombia. And then obviously the Narcos Mexico. It starts in the mid-'80s. It's actually like the first ever DEA agent, Kiki, that was killed. Because like at the beginning of Narcos, you find out that there's this unwritten rule that you don't kill DEA agents, because there was one that was killed that brought the entire department down to Mexico, and so it became like this common consensus to where DEA agents and families were off limits. And then Narcos Mexico covers this with, what's his first name? I think it's Michael Pena. Am I thinking
Sure.
I
don't know.
He's the one that's in Ant-Man that talks like a lot to tell a story, and then it's like get to the point.
Oh, you're talking about the actor's name?
Yeah, I think it is.
Narcos.
No, I got. Wait. Fuck. It is Michael Pena.
Yeah, it is Michael Pena. All right, cool.
Yeah, Michael Pena.
So it, and then the second season is, you have to really pay attention, like, because there's so much giving and coming and going, and it's like you miss like 5 minutes, you miss a lot, and I found myself having to, because I get distracted a little bit, so I have to,
we know this already.
And I have to remember that my Spanish is not as fluent as I like to believe it is. So there were times where I was like trying to pay attention without reading the captions, and I was like, "No, I'm lost. I need to go back a little bit."
So Narcos is one of the shows that you need to be paying attention.
You need, especially like after season 1 and 2 of the original one, because it's just what's going on. It's very linear. It's Pablo Escobar versus the DEA. And that's basically, if you know anything about the history of what happened, you're fine. If you don't know anything about what happened after or what went down in Mexico in the 80s and early 90s, you really need, like, these are some, like, I'm going to say, like, these are some fucked up people. Like, the way they go by killing their rivals or people that disrespected them, or, like, some of them are so bad that they had to change in the show how somebody died, because the original way that they died was just way too much to put it on film.
Wait, you don't like the machetes to the head?
Like there's this lady Guadalupe who has an affair with one of her husband's, I don't know what you call them, like contract killers or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, to get back at him because he pissed off the wrong person, he sends the lover, which he didn't know was a lover, but he sends him to go get her. And he's a double agent at this point for the other family. Gets her. Now, in the show, she has like 2 kids, right? And they go over this bridge and they stop. And he's like, we should get some fresh air. And she's like, okay. And they get some fresh air. And he ends up shooting her in the head and then throwing the kids over the bridge.
Jesus Christ.
And like, the kids are like 5 and 2.
Jesus.
In the original way, now this was like the Netflix friendly way. In the original, in the way that it actually went down, he had her pull out $7 million, because, people can just go to a bank and pull out $7 million in Mexico, apparently. And
the thing is, bro, you fucking pay somebody off in Mexico, and they'll be like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, dude.
Right? He then decapitates her, sends her head to her husband, and still throws the kids off the bridge.
My God, that's not okay.
I'm saying, like they thought of like some real fucked up way to kill.
Dude,
like
there was
I'm
a bodyguard.
sorry, like maybe
there was a
maybe
bodyguard who's actually an assassin for one of the cartel families, and he would actually slice people's noses off. And by slice, I mean using one of those straight razors to shave. He would slice the skin and the nose off the person and send it to their families.
But William, like, we've seen some fucked up shit in film and shows like that. That doesn't sound that bad. Where like, don't
really
show
doesn't.
like I decapitating the woman, but like you can show like him sending her head to somebody. Like, I don't know. That does not sound that bad. I feel like we've seen worse in shows nowadays. But that's just me.
I guess, I don't know. I guess they felt that was maybe going over the line.
Maybe.
And maybe they just didn't have time to film somebody sending somebody their head or, you know.
Oh, no. Like, I read the article, and they literally, like, it was a production decision to not go that route.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is, especially if you have, because I know a lot of people have a fascination with Pablo Escobar. I mean, the guy was making, like, I think they said, like, $60 million a day.
Yeah.
At the height of his power.
Can you imagine that?
I understand people wanting to like be like Pablo Escobar, but you don't want to be like Pablo Escobar. Like, this guy was psychotic. This guy just didn't care. He killed
sociopaths.
Everybody. They are sociopaths.
They're sociopaths.
But because it is like just taking the first 2 seasons, because they are broken down in basically 21-hour episodes, they are very detailed. Like I said, if you're
extremely detailed.
Exactly. Like if you are a aficionado of history and you want, because like there have been some good documentaries, there have been some good made-for-TV movies, I guess. I think Blow was also kind of covered a little bit of Pablo Escobar. This is just like, and the actors that they picked, like 90% of them look like a lot like the original.
That I will give. They really, really look.
They went out of their
like
way
the actual
to
people.
make sure, like the head DEA person, like the American, that got sent down.
Yeah.
To Colombia. If you like, I saw there's a video on YouTube that does side by side pictures. It looks like it's the same dude.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not because of makeup and stuff like that?
Well, obviously, yeah, but
a little bit.
They do a great job, though.
Have, like, face structure and
face structure, height, everything. I mean, literally, like the main players are really well casted and well make-upped because they look exactly like at least the main cast that we know of.
Yeah. And Pedro Pascal plays Javier Peña, which was the Colombian connection to the DEA, which obviously then becomes friends with Steve Murphy. And if you don't know who Pedro Pascal is, you may better know him as the Mandalorian.
Or Oberyn from Game of Thrones.
But then
I don't remember either one.
Pop goes the weasel. I don't want to say anything else.
Goes the Viper.
Yeah, Pop goes the Viper. I don't want to say anything else. That's a good way to
recognize it.
But this is the way.
I still haven't seen The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian is great.
It's so good.
Season 3 is already in pre-production. By the way, to go like what you were saying earlier, that scene, that death in Game of Thrones, I feel is way more violent than someone getting a head mailed to them. That scene when he gets his fucking
I agree with you, and like the level, and actually that's a good comparison because like the level of violence that happens in Narcos, both series, I guess you want to call them, is Game of Thrones style violent. It's very graphic, so definitely not a family friendly show.
Yeah,
it is extremely graphic. It is extremely well done because it literally feels like that person is dead. Like there's like this dude that gets like dismembered because he's tied down to like the old rack kind of style to where like you get tied down and then like the other side of the road is stretched out. Is attached to motorcycles.
Ooh,
and the motorcycles just rip him in like 4 different pieces. It's like,
ooh.
And you see like the tendons and all that shit. It was fucking well done, dude.
So William, what do you give the show then?
I'm a fan of gore.
It kept me like for a show.
I know you are.
It's 90% in Spanish, and I had to spend most of the time like listening and reading the caption. Yes, I got to learn a lot of Spanish. It kept me intrigued the entire time. Like it does. There are a lot of episodes that are very slow. Like I will tell you that right now. But
especially the first
needed
season,
because not everything. Cartels are not just going out killing people. There's obviously a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes. But I could give this a good 8.5, 9 out of 10. And I'm actually looking forward to season 4 and 3 respectively. And I don't know, maybe they'll go somewhere else with because like Narcos can pretty much go anywhere. They're not attached to anywhere. And because Mexico obviously has to stay in Mexico, but I'm looking forward to see what they have because they have announced the seasons. So let's see what they got, and hopefully they'll do. Oh, you know what? What's that Mexican guy that kept escaping? El Pacho?
El Chapo.
El Chapo.
El Chapo.
Maybe they'll do a season on El Chapo, and
I think Netflix already did something about El Chapo, though. They did a miniseries on him.
It was probably a documentary, but not like a show.
No, it was a show. It was like they've been doing now that it's a Mocku show, a Mocku series.
Huh.
Okay, I didn't know
that. It's kind of like a documentary, but
doing very well with
life.
Mexico. But we will see. But anyway. If you are intrigued about drug cartels and like literally how they got started, and
if you like Traffic, it's a good watch.
Yeah, if you like Traffic, if you like those kind of movies, those kind of shows, watch Narcos and start with original Narcos season 1 and 2 because that's the most entertaining.
And you have to really stick around with season 1 because it gets boring as fuck towards the middle. Like I didn't get through season 1, but also I didn't have time to sit and watch a show if it felt boring. So I haven't been able to sit past season 1. I would give the first season probably a 5, but it was the episodes that were good were really fucking good. So I definitely should give it a shot again. I just at the time I was trying to watch more movies and TV shows were taking up way too much.
I would recommend like for me to tell you to because you'll obviously have a much easier time with the language than I did, and I'm sitting here telling you give it a shot because even through these slow episodes I'm like, all right, let's go, let's see where this goes. Like I just kept wanting to push through, and the payoff was worth it. So Narcos Mexico, worth 50 hours of binge watching in a week.
Jesus,
Branden,
man,
what do you have for us?
All right, so my choice was dictated by something that Lewis brought up, or all of us brought up. I don't remember if it was last week. It was very, very recently, and that it was between 2 Disney movies. So it was either between Atlantis or Treasure Planet.
Oh.
So I went with Atlantis. My girlfriend had never seen it.
Oh.
It's so good.
Atlantis is fire.
Oh, no. I'm not saying... Sorry, I didn't mean it as into like, oh my god, Atlantis. It's like, between the two, people always go with Atlantis, and I'm like, no, Treasure Planet is...
Oh.
They're both equally great movies, but that's the one that I'm partial to. So that's why I was like, come on, go my way, and you didn't.
My girlfriend, I don't think doesn't remember Treasure Planet or has never seen it, so we're definitely going to be watching Treasure Planet soon. Because I love Treasure Planet just as much as
Hell yeah.
But I went with Atlantis. I hadn't seen Atlantis in probably more than 10 years. Probably.
It's so good, dude. Oh my god.
Atlantis, The Lost Empire is a 2001 Disney film. It's different than anything they've ever come out with. There's no music. It's like
barely any. Yeah.
Barely any music. There's no like musical numbers where they break out into song or any of that.
Thank fucking God.
Basically, it's about this professor Milo Thatch.
Yes, Milo's so cool.
Voiced by Michael J. Fox.
Yes.
And it takes place in the early 1900s, 1914 to be exact. And basically he is obsessed with Atlantis because his grandfather was obsessed with Atlantis, and they're trying to find this book, this journal that will basically lead them to the location of the lost city. Well, they find it, and the movie ensues that Milo, his grandfather's no longer alive, but Milo goes with this group, this ragtag group, to go find Atlantis.
Yes, with Mole. I love Mole. Oh, dude.
My favorite character is Vinny, the florist / pyromaniac.
He's fucking great. I forgot what the mole guy's name is, but oh my god, I fucking love him.
They just call him Mole. Yeah, Mole, yeah.
I fucking love him. Oh,
and then I like the doctor, Dr. Joshua Strongbear, I think it is, or some shit like that.
Yes.
I'm just trying to bring it up on IMDb at this point real quick.
I just love him. Like, there's there's just some funny parts when like Kita punches Mole, and the doctor's like, I like this girl. It's just really funny, really visually appealing. The sequence in the beginning when they spoilers, I guess,
beautiful,
when they get attacked by the Leviathan, this robotic lobster thing, this huge robotic lobster. It's fucking terrifying, man. Like, just to think that you're in a submarine and there's this giant apex predator coming after you. And yeah, man, it's just a really, really cool movie. There's visually some scenes like that when Kita gets the what's it called? The star put in her or whatever.
Yes, the floating moment.
And she's like walking on the water. I was just like, damn.
Yeah.
The animation's a little weird. Like
I love the animation.
Not the animation. The art style is a little. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a little weird compared to other Disney movies, but I think it suits the movie well.
I think it was very fitting of that time, though. It was the early 2000s, right?
Yeah, 2001.
There you go. Yeah. And also, my favorite scene is when the Guardians come up. The Rock
and
Guardians.
They do the shield around the city and stuff like that.
So cool.
It's just like
sequence.
There's some scenes that are like that. It's just like that when Kita's like walking, when the volcano's like erupting, and the Guardians put the shield over the city, and it had been so long that I was like, maybe Atlantis doesn't hold up, but I was so pleasantly surprised.
It does. Atlantis, I saw it recently too, and I fucking love this movie so much. Oh my god,
it's such a cool, like, you've always heard of Atlantis, like the legend of Atlantis and shit like that. Like, it's an actual city, right? It actually did exist. Of course
no,
not.
According to legend, it did, but it never been proven.
It's never been proven. I thought it was proven, but like, of course, it was just like a normal city that.
No, what they've done actually is they've said that. What the hell was it? It's god damn it! I forgot who it was that wrote about it. I think it was Plato that wrote about it in one of his manuscripts or something. That it was past the pillars of Heracles or something like that. So it was kind of like, oh yeah, it's at the end of the Mediterranean Ocean, So
the movie starts off with a quote by Plato about Atlantis.
So yeah, it is probably from Plato then.
Yeah, honestly, I don't watch a lot of live action Disney movies, but if they remade Atlantis in a good way, oh boy, that'd be awesome. That would be so cool.
I don't know. They made a sequel to Atlantis. And,
it's fucking horrible.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen
Don't watch
sequel.
It taints you.
I'm not gonna watch it. I promise. But don't you think that Atlantis would look cool in a live action sense? Maybe, nope. Maybe not. Maybe.
There's a whole ass following and groups out there that have been pushing to make this a live action and to stop trying to just take movies like Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King and Aladdin. Like, if you want to make something and do it decently, take Atlantis, do Atlantis. And I think that if done right, it would be an amazing live action movie.
I do too, yeah. And we're in a day and age where like our like technologically, like with CGI and stuff, we can make things look good if it's done properly.
Yeah,
I honestly would like to see something like Atlantis. Like, yeah, obviously there's certain parts that you need to do CGI.
Yeah,
but I mean, practical effects.
Dude, can you imagine if it is done properly, a live action scene with the Leviathan when they're getting chased by that lobster?
Oh, it'd be completely CGI'd. Come on now.
It would, Disney. but if they do it properly, it can look good.
Yeah, I like how it looks right now. I'm good with the old.
Okay.
I mean, if they do it, I just hope that they really play homage to the original, and they really try to stay true to it. So that I'm not opposed to it. I'm just not like, oh yeah, let's do a no. I'm good.
I think if they do it, they need to use Leonard Nimoy's voice as kind of an homage. I think that would be one of the best homages they could do.
It took me a second. I was like, who is the king? And then I'm like, oh, that's Leonard Nimoy. Holy shit.
It's only natural.
Honestly, I like Atlantis a lot. I'm going to give it an 8. And if you haven't watched it, I feel like it's a Disney movie that flies under a lot of people's radars, especially because it came out right after the Renaissance ended, basically. So
it was like post.
Yeah, right after it. So
I'm going to wait, and I'm actually going to love when you finally see Treasure Planet.
Okay.
So I want to see which of the two you enjoy most.
I've seen both recently, and I still say Atlantis is better in my opinion. But
I love Treasure Planet because I loved the book as a kid. I loved the book. There was a
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was about to say, I was like, there's a.
So when they came out with Treasure Planet, I was like, whoa! And there's an old school. I don't know if it's like a cartoon or if it's considered anime because I don't know what company. I want to say it's anime that I used to watch as a kid about Treasure Island.
Treasure Island had an animated version that was by Ray Fletcher. It was the rival company to Walt Disney. It came out the year after. It was from the, I think, 60s. It was after the live action one that Disney did.
Oh, no. I'm talking about, there was a Treasure Island movie that came, animated movie that came out in 1987. But I don't know if that's the movie or the cartoon that I used to watch. I will have to find it and let you guys know. If not this episode, I'll definitely have looked it up by next episode. But I will let you guys know. It was actually very well done. So when they came out with Treasure Planet, automatically, I didn't even need to watch the trailer. I knew exactly what it was. And I'm like, oh, and that's why I guess I lean more towards Planet than Atlantis.
I'm going to say
both
this.
Equally great movies. I'm not taking away from either one, like from Atlantis. That's like, oh, this is so much better. It's like saying, what's your preference, Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast? They're both equally great movies. Some people have a preference, one or the other, for whatever reason, and that's where I stand with these two movies. But I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about Treasure Planet.
I'm going to say this. It's been a long time since I've seen Treasure Planet, but I think I'm going to like Treasure Planet more because I have more of a nostalgia for Treasure Planet. I remember I owned the DVD when I was a kid of Treasure Planet, and I watched it a lot. So,
yeah, I remember that. I would give Atlantis a 9.5 out of 10 for me. I fucking love this movie.
Damn. Yeah, I give it an 8.5. It was very much enjoyable, and I think it definitely is looked over. It's looked over and it holds up. So definitely, if you've never seen Atlantis and you have Disney Plus, go do yourself a favor and watch the original. I haven't seen the sequel, but Lewis says it's trash.
Don't watch the sequel. Trust me, dude. I got like 20 minutes in and I'm like, oh, the animation makes you nauseous. It's disgusting.
because it's a straight to VHS.
Oh, I guess no. I guess you're right then. I'm sorry. The movie, the show I was talking about is originally called. I'm gonna butcher this and I apologize. Takara Jima is from 1978.
Ah.
How do you spell it? Takara?
So T-A...
Oh, I got it. Takara Jima Island, Treasure Island.
Yeah.
It's a show actually. Yep, it's an anime.
And when I watched it was dubbed in Italian, and it was then I got to read the book, and I liked it. So that's where my fascination.
Do you like pirates a lot?
Me?
Yes.
When done right, because what was that movie with Gina Davis? Cutthroat.
I like Cutthroat Island.
The reason I ask is because you have a shit ton of time on your hands, and you have Hulu. Go watch One Piece. It's all about pirates. Oh, it's the biggest anime in the world right now. It's awesome if you have time.
I tried getting into it. I swear I did. It just was not catching my attention. It was
gotcha.
Just, I don't know. Like because I know I got the name. I'm like, this sounds familiar. I tried it, and I don't know. It's just did not. I may give it another shot because it's been a while, but it's. I don't know. Right now, I'm also still working on Knights of Zodiac, so I'm like a one anime at a time kind of guy.
Gotcha. All right. So, Lewis.
All right. So, I'm going to give you guys two options. One is a show, and the other one is a documentary. What do you guys want to hear about?
Show? Yeah, we'll go with the show. Fuck it.
All right. So, the show is called... Sorry.
Doesn't even know.
He doesn't even...
No, I just want to make sure it's the right one.
Come on, talk to us about Tiger King.
No, fuck no. Fuck to the no. Not a chance. The one that I'm actually talking about is Roman Empire. It is streaming on Netflix. And this is kind of like it's kind of this weird mixture that Netflix started a few years ago, that it's half documentary, half dramatization. So it's kind of a toss-up between the two. I don't know what to call it. But it's basically a docu-series that has dramatization and has like actual acting and has performance pieces and all that stuff. And it's actually each season is about one Roman emperor. So it basically grabs anywhere between 4 to 7 episodes each season. And it tells you everything of this emperor in particular. And they go into Caligula, they go into Julius Caesar, and then the last season, I believe, was the least relevant one for me. The one that I was like, whatever, this is okay, was Comedies. So it's Caligula, the Mad Emperor, Julius Caesar, Master of Rome, and Comedies, Reign of Blood. Which Caligula, I think we all know, is probably one of the most infamous besides Julius Caesar. Caligula was this fucking psychopath that a lot of incest, a lot of a lot of sick shit that he went through.
Isn't there a movie from the 70s with
with Malcolm McDowell?
Yeah. It's really, isn't it rated X or something?
Yeah, it was fucking porn. It literally was a porn channel. I forgot what. Oh god damn it! What was the porn channel that they had?
No, in the 70s, Malcolm McDowell made a movie of Caligula.
I have it.
Yeah, Lewis has it, and it's basically just straight up porn.
It was.
1979.
Yeah, it was Peter O'Toole in it.
It's
who
funny.
Was it that directed it? Who was it that produced this?
Bob Guccione and Franco Rossellini.
No, I know, but I'm trying to figure out.
It's not. It's regarded as drama/erotic, and it's not rated.
Yeah,
it's not. I actually had borrowed this on DVD from the local public library in West Hartford, Connecticut, when I was living at home. And yeah, I remember watching this movie for those same exact reasons, going, what other movies at the library are there like this? Unfortunately, after going to the movie, I realized there was no other movies like this from the public library. But it definitely caught me off guard with how frontal nudity there was and just sex acts and everything.
It was a fucking, it was a porn company that produced it. God damn it, I can't remember who it was. I'm trying to...
Production company, Penthouse Films.
There you go, Penthouse Films.
Penthouse.
Yeah, Penthouse actually did it, so they had it on their channel for the longest time.
Flint.
Yeah, so, but they go into Caligula, and the cool thing is about this is that it's informative, yet it's provocative because of the retelling of the story with the actors and all that stuff. So it is extremely well done. I wouldn't say that it's a budget of like fucking Game of Thrones. You could see that they repeat the scenes over and over again, but it is well done. The performances are actually pretty fucking good. The actors that they bring on are actually really good actors. They're not like, oh, I fell into my sword and death. No, it's actually well written. It feels like actually like a drama.
So it's done better than The Hobbit.
But no, like honestly, like even like some of the battle sequences that they do in here are pretty fucking cool. Like it's all CGI, the battle sequences, but it's pretty fucking cool what they do with it and how they talk about it and all that stuff. And I've been on a history binge lately, and in the meantime, while I'm working, and when I have some downtime, quote unquote, I watch, and I was able to binge the show in 3 days.
Sounds like you.
Each episode runs about an hour, so it's about 35 hours, 40 hours of content that you get so far.
Okay.
So it's pretty well worth it, and they're actually still working on the show, and I forgot what the next emperor is that they're going to bring up, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They actually brought up with Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, and oh my god, the actress that played Cleopatra is fucking gorgeous, dude. Gorgeous. So like they really do a good job with everything, and I really am very interested in seeing the one that William brought up last time about the Greek mythology and everything, because it's supposed to be following around the same kind of style as this one. So I'm interested to see.
Okay.
So for next week, I'm going to give you guys two options for the listeners to vote on. And the first one...
Real quick, though. What was had we gone the other way with the documentary? What was the documentary?
It is actually let me get the name just to make sure I'm not fucking this up either. It Takes a Lunatic. It's called It Takes a Lunatic. It's a 2019 documentary about the American Place Theater in New York. Wine Hamlin.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's anything wrong with that, but I'm glad I went with the show because the less I know about the documentary going in, the more I will enjoy it. So,
Yes, and it's a good one. You definitely should check it out. I'll probably review it next week, William. So definitely, if you want to jump on with me and review it together, we could.
If I find the time to watch this, I mean, my week's pretty
Really?
busy.
So the two movies, just because William decided to go with what do you call it, Enter the Dragon, I am going to choose The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, and Tickled. So those are the two choices. One's a documentary, the other one is high action
For the
Asian
love
film.
of God, vote for the first one.
We reviewed The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
We have, yes, but not William.
Yeah,
And
I
not
don't
on the
remember the
podcast.
movie. I don't remember the movie. It's been a while, but I remember us reviewing the movie.
It's a fun one. It's very fun. So
Yeah,
we'll
no.
enjoy it.
It was fun. All right. On that note, thank you, Greg, and thank you, Zach, of course, for joining us. Yes. If you enjoyed our show, of course, go to manbitesfilm.com, our sister site, diverselygeek.org, and, of course, our brother from another Mr. John over at YouTube at Narcotic Casserole. Anything else you guys want to plug?
Yes, check out the new show that we actually just launched with the four people from Cinemaddicts, Eric Holmes, Bruce Perky, and Greg Srisavasdi, and we are actually called Movie Mainline.
You will never say his name correctly, will you? Ever.
Movie Mainline. Check this out on all the podcast networks and YouTube.
William, do you want to plug anything?
I don't believe so. No, not at this time.
Okay. I'll be plugging myself. I have a lot of time on my hands because of the Rona. I started streaming video games recently. Unfortunately, you can't see my beautiful face because I do not own a camera, and the market for that shit is real fucked right now. So, but you can hear my lovely voice as you do on this podcast and watch me play video games and just shoot the shit. I stream on Twitch almost every night or every other night. I start kind of late, not super late, but like around 10 p.m. And I stream for like 3 or 4 hours and just shoot the shit. I've been playing Final Fantasy.
Goes to bed so that he can play without being, disturbed.
No, I've actually streamed in the afternoon. But yes, you are slightly correct. It is, because then she's not like, spend time with me and stuff like that. I could just chill and stream and not be bothered, I guess, for lack of a better term. But yeah, so I've been streaming a lot of Final Fantasy and Resident Evil. So, come by twitch.tv/TotoWiper, TOTOWIPER. It's random. I don't have like a set schedule, but usually I start 10 either every day or every other day. I would greatly appreciate a follow because, But, I just wanted to plug that.
Before I forget plugging, follow me on House of Phoenix Cosplay on Instagram.
There you go. As always, thank you, Lewis.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, William.
Thank you, sir.
As always, I'm Brandon, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of Manbitesfilm. Cue the drums.